There are 3 things that helped me get out of debt, stop overspending, and helped me to build my net worth from a negative number to multiple 6 figures. Those 3 things are: number 1, financial literacy; number 2, taking actions on my finances because I was more financially literate; and number 3, probably the most important one of them all, drum roll, becoming more self-aware. Believe it or not, I owe a huge chunk of my financial success to the fact that over the course of a couple of years, I became more self-aware. Now, don't misconstrue this. I didn't one day say, okay, I'm gonna go out there, I am going to do some inner work on myself, become more self-aware, do some reflection, be more mindful, and I'm gonna become wealthy because of it. That's not what happened. I kind of fell into it, it just happened. There were a lot of aspects in my life that kind of came together, and I went through this journey of growth. And as I did more reflection on myself and learn more about myself, I realized that looking back, a lot of the money mistakes that I have made and a lot of the money traps that I've fallen victim to were a result of behaviors that came from these subconscious thoughts and subconscious things in my brain that were simply a reflection of how I viewed the world. Now, money is such a huge part in our lives that your behaviors, a lot of the times, your day-to-day decisions impact your financial health. So in this video today, I'm gonna cover 10 money traps that I have fallen victim to in the hopes that you can either avoid them or at the very least realize that sometimes there are things at play in our brains, in the back of our minds, that subconsciously affect our behaviors. So let's jump into that list. The first money trap that I have fallen victim to is overvaluing education. Now, I know that sounds bad because education is important. I truly believe that education and critically thinking are important skills to have. I think what I mean more is overvaluing degrees. So after I graduated from undergrad, I chose to directly go and get a graduate degree. I wanted to get a master's. Now, this was in 2008. So I graduated from college during the Great Recession. It was not a great time for us millennials. But based on this view of the world I had and the status and money and I guess power I associated with higher level degrees, I made a decision to go get a master's degree without really having a plan. So I took on $50,000, $60,000 worth of additional student loans on top of what I already had in undergrad. Now, I'm not saying every degree does not equal more money, but I think in my mind at that time when I made that decision, I just thought like, look, the job market is tough. If I want to stand out from other people, if I want to make more money, I need a master's degree. That was how I thought about the world. I realize now that I associated so much status with education because I was raised that way. My parents were both immigrants from the Philippines. They knew how to work hard. They taught me how to work hard, but they also instilled in me how important education was. But in hindsight, choosing to spend $60,000, $70,000 on a degree because I think it's gonna make me more money was not a smart decision. So, if you are thinking about going back to school, if you want a higher level degree, first, just do your research. You probably already have an idea of the job market in that field and in that industry, but I would even encourage you to go a step further. With technology these days, everything is moving fast. So by the time you get that degree in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, a lot of things could have changed. Maybe explore areas that are developing in that industry and be open to several different career paths. Number 2, second money trap that I have fallen victim to, YOLO. I kind of blame Drake for this, but YOLO means you only live once. I don't know how many times in my 20s I said YOLO or a friend around me said YOLO, and that in turn caused us to spend money on food, spend money on bottle service, spend money on a lot of things that we probably shouldn't have spent money on. Now, do I regret the fun that I had in my 20s? No. But if I look back, I realized that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes spending money because of YOLO and you only live once was me trying to find or create happiness and joy by spending money. I think it's important to acknowledge that, yeah, life is short, so let's enjoy it while we're here. But there are strategic ways to do that. Saying YOLO on a whim and not having a fun budget set aside for YOLO type activities is not the way to go. So what should you do to avoid this trap? Set a sinking fund in your budget for fun. Let it be a flexible budget. Let it be an amount that you put aside where you can do whatever with it and not feel guilty. Because you don't want to go the other route where you just restrict yourself and not allow yourself to do these fun, spontaneous things. That's usually what leads people to overspend. So plan for fun and plan for YOLO. Money trap number 3, another acronym, FOMO. FOMO in relation to investing. FOMO stands for fear of missing out. I had an instance 6-7 years ago where I felt FOMO when it came to crypto investing. So I purchased some crypto, ended up losing some value, realizing the loss by selling the crypto at a loss, and then being pissed that I ever did it to begin with. Now, there was a lot of things that went wrong in that scenario. It all started because I was in a coding class. I was in a coding class that was primarily dudes and a couple of women. Now, all of these dudes happened to all be crypto bros. So they would be talking about crypto all the time. And they kept saying, Lisa, you should buy this, you should buy that, you should buy Ethereum. And I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't want to hear about them all making millions of dollars and me missing out. So I'm like, why not? Let me jump in on this trend. Now, I'm all for investing. I do still hold crypto in my portfolio today. But back then, I was uninformed. I didn't know enough about crypto or investing in general, and that's what caused me to sell my assets at a loss. If I had gone into it with more information, I probably would have known to hold it longer, and I probably would have made a profit if I had waited years to sell or if I had held on to the assets until today. FOMO is another one of those things that after doing some self-reflection, I realized that is me feeling a certain way because of what others around me are trying to project onto me. So what should you do if you feel FOMO? Definitely on this one, educate yourself. You don't have to feel FOMO, but you should definitely be educated before you put your money into anything, especially a volatile asset like crypto. Money trap number 4 that I have fallen into, we kind of all do to some degree, consumerism. But I'm talking about like extreme levels of consumerism, right? Advertisements are everywhere, everywhere. Even me creating this video is kind of an advertisement. It's me marketing my own brand and eventually selling products and services. But anyway, that's besides the point. Consumerism. Ads are everywhere. I think what used to get me when it came to ads is they would sell a feeling or something related to status, and I would buy that. So I want to say, before this whole self-reflection, inner work journey that I went through, I used to rely on a lot of things outside of myself for happiness. Whether those things were buying new electronics, new Jordans, or just relying on other people's validation to feel good. All those things I've come to realize are, 1, not healthy, but 2, a result of me not really giving myself my own validation. The more I've learned about this and learned about myself, I've been able to kind of snap out of that. Now, I still consume, but I'm a much smarter spender nowadays. So if you ever fall victim to consumerism, if ads always make you feel a certain way, like you want to go buy that new thing, then I would suggest a couple things. There's a lot of things, but here are a few tips. Number 1, filter out advertisements from your email box. So either unsubscribe to emails or set up filters so that you don't see them in your inbox. Mark them as read automatically if you can. Another thing you can do in regards to consumerism is setting goals and digging into your values. What I mean by this is I actually have a money reflection workbook that you can download for free. I'll put the link in the description. And one of the exercises is setting money goals. Now, you're not just gonna set money goals like I wanna take a big vacation or I wanna get out of debt. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take that goal, but dig into why. Why do you want that thing? When you understand your why behind these different goals you have, it lets you realize what it is you really value in life. And what that does is it enables you to make smarter spending decisions. The next time you put something in your shopping cart that you're kind of lukewarm about, you can ask yourself, what value is that going to bring to me? Is that aligned with what I value in life? And that will help you curb some overspending due to consumerism. All right, number 5, 5th money trap to avoid, credit card debt. This is kind of linked with the last one on consumerism, but specifically in terms of credit card debt, is carrying over a balance. Now, why do we carry over a balance from month to month? Typically, this is a result of overspending, but it can be a lot of things. Most people I've seen never learned how to properly use a credit card in the first place. The golden rule with a credit card is to only use it on things you already were gonna buy with money that you already have. And it's hard to understand that if you just were given a credit card one day and saw that there was a $10,000 limit on it and thought that you had access to $10,000, right? So getting into the credit card debt in the first place typically is a result of not knowing enough or being pushed into a corner. Sometimes people have to put things on a credit card because they have no other place to pull funds from, in which case an emergency fund would be very important to have. So if you have credit card debt and you are keeping a balance from month to month, or if you're new to credit cards and you're not quite sure how to use it, then what you want to do is to build the habit of only using your card on things where you already have the money sitting in your bank account. For people with credit card debt, you can come up with a debt payoff plan. I have other videos on this, definitely on my TikTok, but you can look up the debt snowball method or the debt avalanche method. You want to set a plan to get out of that debt, and you want to, in the meantime, build the habits so that you don't get back into that debt. Money trap number 6, lifestyle creep. So lifestyle creep kind of blends with some of the other things that I talked about earlier in the video, including consumerism. But lifestyle creep is when you are flourishing in your career and you're starting to make more money, and because you make more money, you spend more money. You make more money, you spend more money. At least for me, when I was younger and I started to make more, I thought, isn't that the reason you want to make more? So that you can have a better, a nicer lifestyle? I didn't understand what it meant to build wealth and to use your money so that you can grow money. I never understood any of those things. I just thought the whole point of making more is so you can buy a nicer house, so you can buy a nicer car, so you could shop at Whole Foods instead of Ralph's. But that concept is called lifestyle creep, because at the end of the day, if you spend as much as you make, you're not going to have any left over for your financial cushion, emergency fund, your big financial goals like buying a car, having a wedding, traveling. The less you're going to have for retirement. So in essence, someone who makes 50K and only spends 30K and has a surplus amount of money is in a lot better of a financial position than someone who's making 100K and spending 100K. For me, lifestyle creep happened as a result of misinformation and miseducation, but also because I think there was at least something subconsciously going on with me in trying to keep up with the Joneses. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be frugal and stay frugal your whole life. What you want to do is have a plan. If you make more, you can spend more, but make sure you allot some of that for your future, for your emergency fund, for investing, for all these other things that you want to do in life that require money. It's all about having a plan. All right, money trap number 7, and please don't ask me why this is number 7. It should have been number 2 because it's related to the first one. But money trap number 7 is getting more student loans. This to me was a result of, in relation to number 1, where I said I overvalued degrees and education. I overvalued education so much so that I felt like student loans were normal. You're supposed to get student loans. How else can I get this master's degree? Why wouldn't I get this master's degree? So not only did I go and get the graduate degree, but I went to a private school. I didn't have to. I got a communications degree. I could have gone so many other places, but I went there. I don't know if it was for status. I don't know if it was because I thought the degree was gonna help me make more money. All I know is that I fell victim to taking on more student loans. So here's what I would recommend. Similar to what I said in number 1, if you are thinking about getting another degree, understand your job market, have a financial plan, really sit down to think about how are you going to manage the cost of your education and your living expenses, both while you're in school and also afterwards. Be strategic about it. Number 8, money trap that I fell into. I bought too much home. The first condo I ever bought was more than I could afford. I put 10% down, and if you know anything about real estate, if you don't put 20% down, typically you're going to have to pay private mortgage insurance, PMI. private mortgage insurance is an extra amount that you pay monthly that doesn't go to you. It doesn't benefit you in any way. I could have avoided this if I had bought something in a lower price range that I could actually afford. But back then, I saw a place that I really wanted and I got it because I wanted it. Now, there are a lot of reasons that people end up buying too much home. And sometimes that's a result of people really being firm on where they want to live. They want to live in this neighborhood, not that neighborhood. And the only way to afford this neighborhood is to spend this much money. How can you afford buying too much house? There are a lot of things you can do, but here are a couple things to keep in mind. If you're planning on buying real estate, save up and leverage other funds if you can to make sure you can really afford the house that you're buying. There are a lot of ratios and rules of thumb that you can go by, such as a housing ratio, debt to income ratio, to make sure you can afford the payments and really afford the house that you're buying. Another thing that I see a lot of the time is people not being flexible on where they live. They have their heart set on a certain neighborhood, on a certain block, and just don't have the funds to live there, but they're willing to take that huge risk of buying too much house so that they can get that. Not realizing that later on, it could cause you a lot more stress than it will happiness if you can't make the numbers work out. All right, we're almost done. 2 more money traps I'm gonna talk about real quick. If you aren't a subscriber already, please make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. It's gonna help me reach more people and hopefully help more people with their finances. All right, 2 more to go. Number 9, an interesting money trap is saving too much. So what I mean by this is saving too much money in a savings account without having a plan for it. Because when you have a plan for your money and you understand what your financial goals are and you have general time frames of when you want to use that money, it's going to help you determine where to put that money. Now for me, I never learned how to invest growing up. So I did contribute to a 401k in my 20s because everyone told me to. But outside of that, and outside of that crypto that I told you I bought, I hadn't really started investing on my own until the pandemic hit. So before that, I would save money in a savings account and then use it when I needed to use it. The only reason I had any stock and owned any stock was I got stock grants at my last job. Outside of that, I didn't have a financial advisor. I didn't buy index funds. I didn't put money in a robo-advisor. I didn't do much investing on my own. Now, the problem with saving too much is you can't save your way to financial freedom. When your money is sitting in a savings account, you are losing value due to inflation. So the only way to fight inflation is to invest your money. Now, investing comes with risks. However, you can mitigate some of those risks by storing your money in certain places depending on what the use is for. For example, emergency fund, have an emergency fund. Keep that in a high yield savings account. If you have financial goals that you are going to hit in the next couple of years, you may not want to invest that. You might want to consult with a financial professional. Now, once you have enough savings, you can't save your way to retirement, right? You actually have to invest your money so that it can grow and so that you'll have more of a financial cushion as the years go by. All right, last but not least, money trap number 10 that you should avoid, that I fell into, was paying myself last. So you might have heard of paying yourself first. That is the concept of anytime money comes in, the first thing you're gonna do is put money towards your savings and investments. Then, with the rest of the money, you pay your rent, you pay your utilities, you pay your bills, your food. I didn't understand that concept before because it felt backwards. It felt like, how can I prioritize that when I barely have enough to get by? Now, of course, if your income is super limited and your expenses are really high, it's gonna be hard to do this, at least at first. But the concept is that you are prioritizing your future self before your current bills and even your past debts. It's an easy money trap to fall into because we're not taught to do it that way. We're taught to pay everyone else first, our rent, our utilities, our phone bill, and then anything extra we put in savings. That is not how it works. Wealthy people, businesses, everyone pays themselves first. All right. That was a lot. This was a long video. I probably should have done less than 10, but you know what? I fell into a lot of money traps. This probably wasn't even all of them. So I hope this helped you and you can see that money mistakes are bound to happen. Like I said, for me, self-awareness, learning, All of these things that were really just me growing in my life are what led me to become financially successful where I am now, and I will continue to be financially successful in the future. I also hope you will too. Until next time, peace out.